Hey guys, it's been a very, very long time since we've had one of these live. So really excited to have this founder interview this time for our 17th IDO Arken Finance. I'm here with Peter Chai,
Right.
contributor at Arken Finance and somebody who I really enjoyed in my trip here to come and visit. And so I think we've been able to see and learn a lot of things from the overall Arken team. But without further ado, we'd love to dive into some of the questions that we have prepared from some of our community as well as our own researchers. So obviously, Arken Finance, I kind of see it in the long run being this one-stop place for users to access all of the different features of trading inside DeFi. And I think a core piece of a lot of what you guys have been working on is this abstraction layer to simplify what users are capable of doing on chain. Could you share a little bit more of what kind of motivated you guys to think about this type of difficulty abstraction kind of layer and something that hopefully makes it so that maybe, I think you told me a story of users not knowing whether or not Arken is CeFi or DeFi. Maybe that would be an interesting story to share.
The inspiration actually came from our own pain point. Some of our team, before we entered the DeFi space, are using DeFi, and at the beginning, they try to explain it to the rest of the team how it works, and it takes quite a long time. This is like 2021, something like that. So if you remember, I think it still exists today. You have to learn how to use MetaMask. You have to learn how to swap. Let's say you learn from a friend that, hey, this token asset is going up. You should try it. You have to search, and it's not many projects are very too new. You cannot search on Google and get a reliable source. Most of the time, you're going to get a scam ad and lead you to a
Fake link.
malicious website. And just to get the right contract address for that token is still very hard. You're not so sure which one is the valid one, right? So it's very complicated. And then when you try to swap, you have to learn where to swap. And if you want to see the price chart or see, if you're a technical trader and want to see where to enter, even if you're not technical trader, you want to see the bar. You want to know that you are buying at a quite low price, good timing. It's another game, right? So it's very, very complicated. So we start by doing some kind of chart first. We do an indexing engine for DeFi by gathering all the blockchain. And this is like a very, actually at the beginning I thought it's going to be easy, but over time we learned that it's very complicated. For example, every asset are pegged with many other assets. So let's say given Ethereum are pegged with, let's say, not just stablecoin, but pegged with other assets as well. This is very volatile. So how can we calculate the right trading price for Ethereum and things like that? So it's very complex thing. After we have a chart, we think that we want experience just like central exchange because that's what we're familiar with. And I believe biasly that most of users are very familiar with central exchange as well. So we try to put a swap box inside our user interface. At the beginning, it's like we just send traffic to one DEX, and then we start to get more DEX. And then we start to see, hey, why don't we make a search engine so people don't have to compare the price themselves?
Open 7 tabs.
And see which price is better. We start to, and then we see, hey, actually this is like a optimization problem. This is like a try to shortest path problem that you can find the best search route. So we come up with like a swap engine that help find optimized path for swap. Like for example, of course, if let's say you want to swap a very large volume, you have we automatically split volume across multiple DEX to get you the best price and lowest price impact. It's like we level up
the regular users.
Let's say we have a DEX with different price. We try to split order across multiple DEX. But we didn't just do that because sometimes, let's say if we want to swap ETH to UNI, sometimes the web route might not be the most efficient. Sometimes you swap ETH to USDC, to USDT, UDAI, and then to UNI might get you the better rate. So you can see this is very complex. Right now we are connecting with around 1.5 million pools on 6 networks.
Wow.
So anytime you click search on our service, it scans all of these pools on the particular network.
Price everywhere.
And not only just pool, because you can see that the variety of combination of part that you have to search is very complex, like billions of combinations. and we have a constraint that it has to beat the block time
Mm.
because it doesn't matter if the calculation take longer than the block time, right?
Then the price is already
Yeah, the price already
stale.
changed. So Ethereum is easy, but on newer chain, it's harder.
Mm.
So right now we try to make it below 200 milliseconds
Wow.
that you get the price. So this is like a very complex issue to make. So this is just two little product that we make. But our goal, then we start to realize that the reason why we have to do all of this is because DeFi is still in a very infancy state, innovative stage. So it's by nature, there are going to be a lot of new technology coming every day and competing with each other and obsolete in a few months, right? So we invest a lot of time by when we have our search protocol for swap and indexing, it enables us to do more variety of product much easier. So we just learned that, hey, this is an infrastructure for developer that we should open for other developer to try. They can make app faster. Like for example, uh, the other part is because ultimate goal is to bring more user to DeFi. We try to understand each segment of user and try to make better experience to bring them to DeFi. For example, the first product that we launched is just if you go to Arken Finance right now, you can see the what we call trading portal. Launch the app, you see trading portal that look very similar to centralized chain.
Yeah, the big trading view.
We just joke here that we done some roadshow back last year at Token 2049 in Singapore.
Yes.
A lot of people thought we are centralized exchange. Yeah, and we talked to some people.
Actually, you said someone from a centralized exchange thought you were a centralized exchange.
Yes, that's right. You say no, this is DeFi. They start to look at this. Oh yeah, right. So right, that's not centralized exchange. Takes a number of them, right? So that's a trading portal that I think is for retail investor, but there's many kind of user and many different user journey that we want to tackle. So first start for abstraction layer is we do the abstraction of technology first. Abstract means that you make something. Let's say, for example, if you talk about transmission in your car, actually composed of maybe hundreds of gears to make the car move. But for you as a user, this is R and D. Right? You just turn on and that's it. You don't need to worry about. That's how the transmission abstract is from you, complexity from you. So for developers, we try to abstract. Like for example, if you want to swap, make application that can swap, you don't need to care about the liquidity or where's the incompatibility between the newer decks and the decks that come before it. You just use Arken Unified API. You learn one API.
Interact with just one API.
Yeah, and it's going to be future proof. So when there's new protocol coming in, we will integrate for you. You don't need to care. And when you move, let's say you move from one network to the other, we should right now be in a verge of everyone recognize that there are going to be more chain, right? Right now we have like 100 chain or something, plus minus, but there are going to be more and more.
More chains and more exchanges on these.
And going to be more incompatibility.
Yes.
So we try to make it so that you can use the same application called just Arken API and that's it.
And get all the data from everyone.
Yeah. Today it could be, let's say, one chain. Tomorrow it could be other chain. That's okay. That's a technology abstraction layer. The other layer is user experience abstraction. Look at what trading portal that we provide right now is doing. It's actually provide a lot of abstraction. It's get price on blockchain and make the price chart. It do the swap by abstract thousands of protocols and millions of pools, and you can just use the same user interface
for everything.
So it will be much easier. That's a goal that we want to provide. And trading model is just one use case for one specific segment. There are going to be a lot more that we want to tackle in the future.
For different types of users.
Yeah, the ultimate goal is to make DeFi accessible.
I like that. Very complete answer. I think especially because there's so much kind of infrastructure. A lot of people talking about building infrastructure, given, like you said, that the blockchain and DeFi still, I would say, at least in a fully on-chain world, is still in that infancy stage, like you said. I think in terms of some of the kind of differentiation points, I think a lot of users know that there's a lot of different products out there. I think one thing that really stood out to me was the midpoint engine and some of the kind of data work that you do. And I think you shared a lot of data points around that. Maybe one thing that I've really picked up is how you guys think about problem solving. Like you mentioned about the search problems as a very technically driven team. A lot of the ways that you tackle these problems bring a level of professionalism that's very different from the average Web3 team that we've met. In general, we do feel like this is something that's quite new to us, and seeing somebody that has kind of gone through the rigor of testing ideas and going through this product iteration kind of life cycle many, many times. I think maybe that would be really interesting to share a bit of your insights of how you guys have tested different things or figured out that maybe, I think you shared once that like user like this type of the contrast of the background of the swap.
Right. Yeah. Actually, maybe it's new to you, but it's very old in the Web2 startup world.
Yes.
Actually, our team come from Web2 startup background. We and our team have done on average 3 startup at least. So we have
For
done
every employee inside Arken.
yeah, average. But for me, it's like more than 10. Maybe I done 15 startup already, so I fail a lot already.
But failing is the fastest way to learn, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of best practice in this kind of thing that we do as a institution right now. That anytime you launch a product, you know for sure that it's not gonna, most likely not gonna work first time, but you have to show it to someone to get more feedback to make it better. That's what we focus on. Admittedly, when I talk to Web3 people, we are like outsiders who think differently, because right now Web3 is in a state of technology innovation. It's about technology vision more than optimization sometimes. But I think for the user-centric product like trading portal, the user is more important. So we have a lot of practice for example, trying to understand the user, interview user, test with the user, and get feedback. These are something that we done as a habit over time, and because we always hungry to see what the user problem is. For example, I would like to ask you what kind of, do you have any issue using Arken, or do you have any suggestion? Things like that's gonna be like something that I ask for our team asks everyone. That's the approach that we think about this product. So it's about user, not just about the product mission. Of course, product mission is very important to shaping the future, but ultimately when the technology in place already, you have to understand how to port the user existing from outside DeFi into DeFi by
And grow the ecosystem.
Try to understand that challenge. Yeah.
I think you're hinting at something really interesting. There's a lot of people have mentioned, and I think you also shared that, obviously we don't want to only compare you guys to, for example, just the DEX aggregators, right? Because a lot of the trading experience, it is user first, it's user driven, right?
Yeah.
And given like what you said, where there's new chains that come up, new products and new liquidity sources that come up, the player today that maybe is the biggest aggregator today may not necessarily the biggest aggregator in the future, because there's always new optimizations and new search paths that are needed to give users the best price. So it's almost like an infinite game. You can never fully satisfy everything that the user have to solve.
True.
But that if you are solving the root problem of what the user needs, rather than just trying to say, I have all of the swaps today, it doesn't matter if you're the swap today. It's the difference between a photo and a movie. A movie needs 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 10 million photos, right, to make this whole film. And that's kind of, I think, what we kind of see here, where the best kind of trading experience will need to be time tested over and over, get all this data from all these different places, and eventually get to the point where we can say, yes, we solve the user pain points of being able to trade here every time.
Yes. I want to add that actually when we start doing the DEX aggregator, we didn't know that it is called DEX aggregator. We just know that, hey, we have to integrate swap because people see China when they want to swap. And when we integrate more swap, we just think that it's silly that you have to check the price for every swap. So as a programmer, we know that this is like a very fun problem to solve. It's like a shortest path and the traveling salesman problem.
Traveling salesman.
Yeah. So we have fun doing this kind of thing, solving this kind of problem. So we do it. That's all. And then we learn later, oh, this is called DEX aggregator. But all in all, it's not about what we do today. It's about how we make decision on which one to do. So for example, the next product that we're gonna launch is because we discover new pain point on new user segment that have a challenge transition to DeFi. I don't think we're gonna define ourselves as a aggregator or trading portal. It's about user and how to bring more people to DeFi.
Love it. I think that's the problem solver attitude.
Yeah.
So I think you're kind of hinting at it. I think there's a few kind of upcoming releases and things that you guys have been working on. I guess what are you most personally excited in the next few months of different product focused things that you'll be able to work on?
Okay, should I say this now or should I keep it for later?
I think you can try at least share a little bit. Maybe you don't need to share all of the details, but maybe I do think that since a lot of users are very interested in seeing how they themselves can use Arken in more ways, I
Okay.
do believe that maybe, for example, the trading strategy side of things would be really great to share
Yeah.
more about.
This is back when since FTX issue incident last year, and then there's come a lot of fun to either BUSD and then latest USDC, things like that. So every time there's something like this, I think a lot of central exchange, what do they do? What did they do? They move money and they're gonna ask a lot of people, hey, where should I move to? Which centralized is safe now? Should I change BSU? Back then, when there's a BSD fund,
Yeah, maybe January or February.
yeah, we exchange it to BSDC, and when USDC fund comes in, damn it, we shouldn't do that. This shouldn't be a thing that everyone
In the space
in
needs
the
to
space
worry
have to
about.
worry about, right? When you hold your fiat currency of your country, you need
You
to
just
worry
hold it.
about that much.
Mm.
Okay, and except you're in South America or something like that. Yeah, that's fine. But it should be more less volatile. Okay, and then we start to see the one user segment that really affected by this is the people who manage a lot of money. For example, professional trader, algorithmic trader, or fund manager. They are very tied in because their technologies they develop software to trade.
Yes.
So the software is very specifically tied in to this kind of technology, and it's hard for them to move to decentralized. But they still have to continue to trade because that's their profession.
Yes.
They don't have a choice, so they have to try to switch back and forth between decentralized. I think DeFi should be the answer, right? But actually, DeFi is still not ready. Okay, I just pinpoint some of the things that DeFi not ready. For example, people believe that DeFi is self-custody, but for fund manager, that's not enough. So, for example, if you are LP and I'm a fund manager, the normal wallet address only have one role. Either you have every access to the asset in the wallet or you don't. That's all. So if you want me to manage your asset for you, you have to give me the asset. It's even worse than central chain, which have like a broker account that you can let someone else
Limited.
execute
Yes.
and limit the access, right? So that's one thing that DeFi is missing. The other usual thing is like liquidity is very scattered. Okay, of course, on some chain, like for example, Ethereum, Uniswap is dominant, but other chain is very
There's
fragmented.
5-6 big players.
That's why I say there's like 1,000 technology, and we estimate that there's above 2 million pools right now for just this, let's say 50 billion each GBL across 100 network. That's a 2 million plus pool right now. You cannot integrate them all. And if you don't, and you have very sizable fund, let's say for example, you have 150 million US dollar fund, and you want to swap a trade asset at 10 million, you're gonna face a lot of price impact when you try to execute your strategy. Okay. The other thing is about API, and it's a behavior. For example, central exchange, there's a big ask. So if you are a algorithmic trader, you can calculate. When you see the chart, you calculate that, hey, we will buy at this price, this price, this price. You can just set the bid
Lots
ask.
of limit orders.
Yeah, and put lot limit on it. That's it. It's gonna be fill or not fill. That's all. But in DeFi, you have to have a bot to wait for the price to come
Track the price
and
then make a
calculate
market order.
the price impact and such and such. This is too complicated. We're gonna have a technology that abstract all of this, so it's gonna behave very close to centralized. I would say it cannot 100% work like centralized, but very close. For example, you already know that we have limit order and stop limit, right?
Yes.
I think we are one of the
Few
one of
DeFi
few
protocols.
DeFi protocols that have it, and each protocol implement limit order differently. Our limit order is natively to AMM. For example, actually it's just marriage of two technology that we have. We have TX Flow, which is the name of our indexing engine, right? And we have swap engine that integrates all the protocol. So we use TX Flow to trigger swap protocol. That's it. So actually at the time it's swap, it's AMM swap. So as long as the liquidity and you didn't set slippage to thin, you can swap.
So you don't need an arbitrager to come and take
Yeah,
it
you
over.
don't need arbitrager.
So this is one very big difference from maybe how 1inch or other players have limit orders, is they actually need somebody else to be an arbitrager who is only doing it if they're paid or making profit to
Yes.
close your order.
Yes.
So there have been experiences when I've used other exchanges where I placed a limit order, and even though the
It's not
price hit
filled.
that place, it did not get filled.
Yeah, but for us, it's just activate AMM. So as long as there's a liquidity and you didn't to set slip
Parameters
to
too tight.
too tight, you're gonna get your what you order.
Interesting.
Oh, one thing I want to mention is about the mid price engine.
Yes.
DeFi is very volatile. Let's say you have an asset class that have like the 100 available on 100 pools. If there might be some pool that have really low liquidity, so anytime someone swap with that pool because it's could be arbitrage or something, the price will spike, is up or down. You can see that in the price chart. It's a very thin up and down. Thin line.
Candle.
Yeah, thin candle
is the word. Yes.
Yeah. So anytime there's something like that, it's a big issue because if you are using stop limit or limit order and activate it on that, you will make that trade. So that's why we come up with what we call mid price filter. It filter on top of TX flow to filter the noise, that kind of noise out to ensure that we can handle the price volatility of the AMM. We already tested this for a year, and I think we handle a lot of case.
Wow, a year of sample size data.
Yeah, because we were on TX flow since mid of 2021. So Arken is on a new project.
Almost 1.5 years.
Yeah, it's like Arken is like almost 2 years. 1 year, 9 months, something.
Wow.
So we worked for a year before we do stock limit because we know that until our indexing is in the pricing is reliable enough, then we can do stock limit and limit order reliably. But admittedly, the work is still never finished. There could be some incident that we haven't handled, but what we try to do is try to make sure that you get the minimum receive. So priority when we do stock limit is like this. First thing first, you must not lose your money. Okay. Second thing is we try to minimize the loss of opportunity. Like for example, you execute and you execute cannot get through, something like that. But first thing first, the case that make you lose money, we have to handle first. Okay. Because I think that loss opportunity is still better than lose money. Something like that. But admittedly, technology is still, everything is in progress. Even a mature company like Google or Facebook still have bug in that software. I bet we will have some issue as well, but we will try to handle it as smoothly as possible and as quickly as possible.
And I think that user focus and just protecting, all of the TVL that is brought over to the platform is a very important mindset to have.
Yeah.
We see so many exploits and hacks all the time, and you can't rely on just audits or anything to guarantee that things are safe. And so thinking about that user, every time you design something, I think is really, really important.
I would say that we will get hacked. Admittedly, we will get hacked. If you're a developer, you know that there's no software without bugs. Okay, but what we have to do is minimize. We will try our best to minimize the risk and handle the risk as efficient as possible. Yeah, that's our approach on designing our software.
Yeah, I think it's pretty bold of you guys to admit this kind of thing as well, but I think that's also shows the quality and the talents that you guys have on the technical side.
Yeah.
Because every big name, the big market makers, the big trading firms, the big exchanges, we've all lived through a lot of hacks.
Yeah.
And I think being prepared and already thinking about these types of disasters before they happen is a very wonderful quality that I think not many teams have. I did want to ask one more question for this segment as well, because I do think that a lot of teams, users in the community wanted to better understand also some of the token utilities of the Arken token. And I think this is a little bit tied to maybe, I think one of the use cases where I see Arken as this one-stop place for future anything users that want to do with regards to trading, they can come to Arken. So I know you guys are planning a lot of different token utilities, but one of the ones that I think was most interesting was related to creating more of the strategy side of things and encouraging, the Arken token to not just be something that I think a lot of players have staking rewards and fee discounts and these types of normal models in exchange trading experiences. But we do see something really interesting in embedding Arken as also a part of some of these strategies that you guys may have inside the platform as well.
Oh, okay. So you want to understand about utility about token, right? I think there's a three part about utility.
And I think there's a
about the
link
token.
as well that you guys might want to share in the notes
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, actually you can visit Arken finance website, but admittedly it's a work in progress. We're gonna have update on the token page every
It's
day.
a good sign. The team is working more on the product than updating the tokenomics.
Yeah, actually we want to publish it, but we don't have that much time. But we're gonna have update every day. It's like a startup concept called MVP, minimal viable product. Just put on some page with maybe 5 sections, and then we add more section every day. So our token for now, the plan has gonna have a utility, governance, and also as incentive. Okay, that's a utilization for this token. For utility, Arken is a not single product. It's like
The product ecosystem.
It has a lot more product. Like for example, right now we have all the developer side, we have API for you to access like price API, mid price engine, and also swap API. The other part is for trading portal. That also incorporate a lot of product inside. Okay. For utility, we're gonna in the near future, in the next few months, we're gonna use this. You'll be able to use this token, our Arken token, to pay for this service at a very at better rate. Here's the thing. Right now, our trading portal and API, swap API, collect fee using by collect a percentage of fee from your swap, the asset swap, right? So we have a fragmented class of asset. We have thousands of assets in our smart contract right now that we have to gradually swap back into stablecoin and things like that. So it'd be also better and more practical for us as well to have people pay in one currency, which you say is an abstracting of the token instead of putting a lot of token in, things like that, more efficient. The other thing is this is just for example, but of course we're gonna have a lot of future product. I cannot tell you right now, but for example, the product we try to solve for algorithm trader and fund manager, it's gonna be hopefully it's gonna be huge, and it's gonna have a lot more utility on it in terms of fee for fund manager. The other part is about governance. Right now, the governance part will rely on the size of ecosystem. Okay, governance is used, of course, for the purpose is to make key critical decision for the platform. Same for us. You're gonna use mostly for example, the thing that you don't want to be on the design. Make decision like for example the benefit things like that. That's gonna be utilization for governance. Okay, the third part is for incentive. Okay, what we try to do is what we believe is like this. Back in the day, 2021, when I learned about farming concept, at first I think it's the same amount of money anyway. So the more you issue the token, but as long as you have the same amount of value in it, isn't it like a Ponzi scheme or something? But people say, hey, it makes a lot of money. It's like 1,000 APY and actually pay for it. So we tried and you know how it doesn't end well. So in the abstract, in the big picture, it doesn't matter how many token you have, even you burn token every day or you increase more token, it doesn't matter. What matters is how many value the ecosystem create. The token is just a ticket for you to withdraw that value. But even if you burn token to just 0.1 token, as long as that value is few, it's not valuable. Not valuable. So what we consider is how to make it more valuable. Admittedly, even a big classic style like for example PayPal, everybody heard the story about PayPal. The early day that they pay like I believe $10, $15 for everyone to sign up.
Invite new
like
users.
that. You need to have some kind of incentive model to grow your ecosystem. Okay, just to get people to sticky, but not too much. You don't pay for the user, but pay for acquiring user. Okay, to get user to know you and try you. If your product and service is good, they will be sticky and you can stop paying. So we have to use token as incentive. But how do we do that without inflating our ecosystem? So we think a lot on that. I really hate the staking and farming model because it's inflationary. So we come up with what we call Arken options.
Mm.
And the token that we harvest in this ecosystem, it will be a cycle like this. Our product, I totally believe that if you try,
You will
you
stay.
will love it. And if you don't love it, please tell us why, and we're gonna make it better. Okay? I promise that. When you use it, it's great value. The value that we capture will be used to make Arken more valuable. And we use that Arken to create what we call Arken options. We use Arken options as incentive to grow more user, acquire more user. And it's gonna be cycle, virtual cycle to make us grow. And trading portal is just a start. We have a lot more product coming in the pipeline. Okay, but admittedly we have a limited amount of resource, so we have to do with a couple of things just one or two things at a point at a time, something like that. So we want to create a virtual cycle of this. We don't want to just put a token to everyone and one day it's gone. And now and it stop growing.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so the options will work as some call options for users to have the rights to buy even more Arken at fixed prices in the future.
Okay.
And hopefully we can drive more usage to the ecosystem using this newer financial instrument.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think those are all the questions that I wanted to cover today in this segment. I think the Arken team has already spent a lot of time today preparing to share more of these ideas, but I think we need to let them go back to building more. I think there's a lot of aggressive timelines that Kitajai shared with us on the product roadmap. So.
Actually, we try to beat the timeline for annual. We're working on. And also the product that about to launch. I think too bad that we might not be able to launch in time for IDO, but it'll be a few weeks after that.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Kitajai, for taking the time today. I think a lot of the developers want to meet with you soon. So I think we'll let you get back to getting some more work done.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.